Fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys, and Caitlin Clark grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, like, I didn't do this, I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
Okay, so Sophie Cunningham just blew up the headlines with an interview that has everyone talking. She went all in, calling out leadership, questioning the league, and even throwing some serious shade at Caitlin Clark. She didn't hold back for a second. It was raw, unapologetic, and straight from the heart. Whether you think she's just speaking her truth or stirring the pot, one thing's for sure, Sophie's words hit hard. This wasn't your typical polished PR statement. It was pure, unfiltered honesty that completely shook up the WNBA conversation overnight.
Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I don't know what's going on. I talked to my teammates like the day that we did exit interviews and all of that, and I need a cleanse. Like, I'm booking vacations. Wes, we need to go on a vacation and do a...
Now, let's be real. Sophie Cunningham has never been the type to bite her tongue. She'll call out her own team, take shots at the WNBA front office, and drop unfiltered truths without even hesitating. Speaking her mind isn't new for Sophie. It's basically her brand. But this time, she didn't just speak up, she went off. No filters, no fluff, no sugarcoating, just straight fire aimed at everything and everyone. The whole vibe was super laid back. Sophie Cunningham was back home in Missouri, just sipping coffee on the Show Me Something podcast. She looked totally relaxed, no script, no PR team hovering, just Sophie being her raw, unfiltered self, between laughing about horses, chatting about the weather, and even hinting at a little baby fever. She somehow managed to hit every single hot-button WNBA topic, with Caitlin Clark right in the middle of it all. You've probably seen the moment she mentioned, right? The Indianapolis Colts invited the Indiana Fever to a game and handed out custom jerseys as a friendly PR gesture. Seems harmless, right? Well, not according to Sophie. Apparently, Caitlin Clark wasn't exactly thrilled about it. And in true Sophie fashion, that tiny moment was all the spark she needed to go off. Here's what happened. Caitlin, who grew up in Iowa and is a die-hard Chiefs fan, got handed a Colts jersey. She just held it up. Didn't put it on. No fake smile, no forced enthusiasm. Just a quiet, yeah, thanks, but I'm good kind
of... Fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys, and Caitlin Clark grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, like, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just like, it's so good. So good.
And get this, the internet went absolutely wild. Fans were calling Caitlin a real one, saying things like, she's staying loyal. Memes were flying all over social media like confetti. That's when Sophie jumped in. And her reaction was exactly what you'd expect from her. She said straight up, that was awesome. I hope Caitlin knows how cool that was. Then she laughed and added, I'm not even surprised by it. Classic Sophie. Keep in mind, Sophie wasn't even at the game. She said she got out of there before the event, but once she saw the video online, she couldn't stop hyping Caitlin up. Sophie called Caitlin's move, refusing to wear the Colts jersey, real and incredible. And honestly, she's right. It might seem like a small thing, but in a league where everyone's expected to play nice and stick to the PR script, that kind of authenticity really stands out. Sophie even said Caitlin's moment was her favorite thing to happen all week. She joked that Caitlin could have just worn the jersey and smiled for the cameras, but the fact that she didn't cave made it even better. That moment says a lot about why fans love both of them. Caitlin Clark is unapologetically herself, and Sophie Cunningham is unapologetically loud. And when one outspoken player recognizes another, it creates a rare kind of mutual respect that fans can't get enough of. But that was just the beginning, because Sophie didn't stop there. She also opened up about her own recent controversies, especially that one where she cursed out WNBA leadership and ended up getting fined. Remember when she went on that rant about league executives not knowing anything about basketball? Yeah, that one. In this interview, Sophie doubled down. She basically said, yeah, I said it. And no, I'm not taking it back. She explained it perfectly. I'm not going back on what I said. But maybe how I said it could have been better. Then she laughed.
Roman, like I can like be like I'm here. They brought like I'll like put the shit on. Her
Yeah.
not doing that is so incredible. I hope she knows how awesome that was.
You sent it yesterday, and I was like I'm not surprised by it. I'm not, because you know what? Everyone's always trying to get her to like wear something or do something, and like
Yeah.
She laughed and added, I might have been a little harsh, but that's just me. Classic Sophie. Half apology, half mic drop. She admitted she's trying to be more mindful about how she speaks, because every time she swears, people act like she doesn't know what she's talking about. In her words, when I cuss, people think I'm uneducated, but I do know what I'm talking about. I just cuss. And honestly, fair point. That's Sophie in a nutshell, passionate, fiery, and unfiltered. That's her brand. Then the host asked if she regretted what she said about Kathy Engelbert or the league office. Sophie didn't even blink. No, I meant every word, she said. Maybe I shouldn't have cussed, but I meant it. That's the kind of blunt honesty fans crave. No walking on eggshells, no PR script, just straight up truth. No hiding behind media training, just saying what everyone else is already thinking. But the best part? Sophie didn't just talk about herself. She ended up defending Caitlin Clark again without even realizing it. When asked if she'd been watching the WNBA finals, she didn't sugarcoat it. Hell no, I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm on a break, she said. Then added, good luck to whoever wins. I honestly don't care who wins. Now, before anyone jumps on her for that, she actually made a really solid point. After a long season filled with injuries, chaos, and non-stop drama, Sophie said she just needed to unplug. And honestly, that's something a lot of players feel but rarely admit publicly. She explained that when you're competing every day, grinding through setbacks and dealing with constant pressure, sometimes you just need to step away. Watching other teams play right after your season ends, it hurts. So when she said she's on a WNBA cleanse, it wasn't shame, it was burnout. And honestly, after the season she just had, who can blame her? Sophie said she's been taking it easy, spending time with family, relaxing, and finally enjoying a bit of normal life. Still, she hasn't lost her trademark sarcasm. I'm booking vacations. I'm over it. It's drama, but I'm done, she laughed, before adding, let's talk about fashion. Instead, only Sophie could go from ranting about league fines to chatting about peacoats and Christmas trips in the same breath, and somehow make it sound completely natural. But let's rewind to that Caitlin Clark jersey moment for a second, because it really revealed something deeper. Sophie didn't just think it was funny, she thought it was powerful. To her, it showed that Caitlin knows exactly who she is and isn't interested in pleasing everyone. That kind of self-assurance Sophie totally respects, because it's exactly how she operates too. Moments like that are rare in a league where players are constantly expected to be grateful, polished, and careful with every single word. Sophie even said she hopes Caitlin realizes just how iconic that small gesture was. And she's not wrong. The clip of Caitlin holding that jersey became one of the most shared WNBA posts of the week. It was confidence without a single word. Sophie called it awesome, and fans completely agreed. Because let's be real, Caitlin Clark could have done the typical PR move, smiled for the cameras, thrown the jersey on, and played along. But she didn't. She stood her ground politely but firmly, and fans loved it. That's exactly why Sophie connects with her, because both of them are unapologetically real. They don't fake it for social media, the league, or anyone else. Midway through the interview, Sophie switched gears. She started talking about what it really means to be outspoken in the WNBA and the consequences that come with it. Sophie said she feels like she represents players who can't always speak their minds publicly, so she takes that responsibility seriously. In her words, I represent a lot of people who don't say stuff, so I want to make sure I say it right. It was a surprisingly self-aware moment, and a good one. She knows her platform carries weight. She's not just speaking for herself, but for players who can't risk fines, backlash, or losing sponsorships. And that's what sets her apart. She's loud, sure, but it's not just noise. She actually cares about what she's saying, and then she dropped one more gem that got fans talking. When the topic of WNBA leadership came up again, Sophie didn't backtrack at all. She still believes many of the league's executives don't truly understand the game. As she put it, they might be good business people, but they don't know basketball. That line blew up all over social media the first time she said it, and now she's doubling down. No backtracking, no apologies. Sophie explained why she feels that way. Because the people making the biggest decisions for players don't always seem to understand the game they're building around. And honestly, it's hard to argue with her on that. If you followed Sophie for a while, you know this is exactly what fans expect from her. She's the player who says out loud what everyone else whispers behind closed doors. And the best part? Even when Sophie says something controversial, she somehow stays completely charming. Her energy is this perfect mix of country girl honesty and a don't mess with me attitude, which makes everything she says feel like half an interview and half a stand-up routine. She'll curse, laugh, drop a serious take, and then start talking about horses like nothing ever happened. That's her magic. And this latest interview reminded everyone of exactly that. Now, as we wrap up part 1 of this story, let's circle back to Caitlin Clark one more time, because it's clear Sophie genuinely respects her. She sees how the league constantly uses Caitlin's name for headlines and sponsorships, and you can tell Sophie's over it. She's basically saying, let the players breathe. Let Caitlin just be Caitlin. What's funny is that even while Sophie was trying to keep things light on the podcast, that same protective energy came through. She was defending players like Caitlin without even realizing it. Sophie said she's taken time off to find some peace. And maybe that's exactly what Caitlin needs too. After all the chaos that surrounded her this year, the two of them share something real in common. They refuse to fake it. And in the WNBA right now, that kind of authenticity is about as rare as it gets. But if you thought Sophie was done after all that, think again. Once the podcast shifted to off-season talk, she went full Sophie again. She opened up about her WNBA cleanse, her knee recovery, and finally getting the chance to live a normal life for once. But even then, her tone never changed. That sarcastic, straight-to-the-point energy fans love was still there. She laughed about being on aunt duty, joked about catching baby fever, and admitted she's been home long enough to actually get bored. But then she got real for a moment. Sophie said she feels like the WNBA world is constantly on edge, and she wants to take a step back before all the drama eats her alive. That line hit hard, because honestly, this season was chaotic. From constant injuries to media feuds and social media blowing up over every little thing Caitlin Clark did, it's been non-stop noise. And Sophie made it clear she's done feeding that noise. When asked if she'd be watching the finals, she didn't hesitate. Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm booking vacations. That line pretty much summed up her mood. She's over the fake unity talk. She's not angry, just detached. And that's the difference. Sophie's not bitter. She's burned out. She even pointed out how fans assume athletes just move on after a loss, but for players like her, it's not that simple. As she put it, you can't watch others live your dream right after it ends. You need space. It's a brutally honest take, one you don't hear often, especially in a league where most players stay polished, careful, and relentlessly professional. Then came the funniest part. Sophie started joking about winter fashion, pea coats, and sea,